Our government is committed.
ये सदन इतिहास रचेगा और ये इतिहास बिल्कुल निरस्त नहीं होने देगा.
Without accountability, there cannot be democracy.
At the end of it all, democracy won. The polity realized the debate has shifted out of the parliament, and eventually a conscious effort was made to regain supremacy of legislative institutions.
All the distinguished parties.
Initially, definitely, people may not like it, but in the longer interest, I think something is better. So we dealt with him, and when I spoke with him, I thought that he might break his fast.
I would say this was a good ending of the fast, because everyone rose above party lines. It was a consensus in parliament. They agreed to these three things and they responded. I mean, it was a special session on a Saturday convened by the parliament to respond to the people's voice. I wish to thank the parliament for that.
The cause he took affects everybody, and he was saying that I am willing to suffer for it. So that obviously brings a lot of attention and it works. But yes, it is true that it's not a very elegant method. It's not a very, it's not the way things should be. I agree. It's not the way Anna does it is, even though I am a supporter, I feel it's not the way things should be done.
Yes, it's definitely a victory for democracy, not only in terms of the movement. It's a victory for democracy in the way those who are called the rulers have also looked at it. Let me be very clear. You may have missed errors committed, as you said, but certainly there has been a very, very conscious reaching out and giving clear instructions to use the most compassionate methodologies, to eschew violence, not to hurt people, not to manhandle them. These are also aspects of democracy, because you are dealing with a compassionate, responsive government who may not be agreeing with what you want to do, but is not wanting to hurt you. That is democracy.
No, I think it's a victory for the people, in as much as Parliament has been forced to debate this bill. Various political parties have been forced to commit themselves to at least these three issues and also some other issues in the Lokpal bill. And of course, eventually Parliament has to pass this bill, but at least the voice of the people is now being heard.
Whether you like the Anna Hazare campaign or not, I mean, there's very little doubt that it's a great victory for people's power. What this campaign has done is to say that there is not just once in 5 years, but a continuous engagement of the people with their elected representatives. So it doesn't mean you elect them once in 5 years and then you go to sleep. But and the politicians would prefer if you go to sleep and you do it only once in 5 years. But now I think people have said that we will continuously, on many issues, even before elections, we will put pressure on our politicians to do the right thing.
The biggest shock to the political class came with the massive youth support to Anna's movement. It occurred almost suddenly that a constituency was seething in pain, left completely unattended.
We cannot wish away corruption by the mere desire to see
it was time now for course correction.
A young person has to stand in line for a job and to pay a bribe to get a government job. It affects your self-esteem as an Indian. That's why young people are on the street today.
The youngsters rallied solidly, and for the political class, youngsters are votes.
I think it's the corruption has hurt people, but what has truly ticked them off is the arrogance of the government and the inability to represent the people's voice within the government.
Interestingly, youth vote is also a floating vote. Many of youngsters just cross that voting age and enter that, and they are not dedicated vote. Every party has a dedicated vote and there's a floating vote. They can actually make or break elections, and therefore the parties will have to look out and watch out for the youth votes.
I think there is a very strong akrosh, anger against corruption, which really cuts across all sections and not restricted to the youth. But where the youth matter and have mattered in this movement is that they have given voice, a certain necessary shrillness, a certain urgency and edge, and obviously the energy and dynamism of the youth alone can carry on a movement like this in a physical sense.
Well, this campaign has shown that middle class youth, middle class young people got terribly engaged in this campaign, and they were the most passionate supporters of this campaign. So this kind of cynical view that the youth of this country are not interested in politics has been disabused and has been proved to be wrong, because the youth are interested in politics, but their kind of politics.
Now we should also live up to the expectations of the people. It's a ground reality, but one cannot ignore the feeling of the people.
Well, the backbone of the Anna campaign was the youth, and they did it neither for fame nor for any kind of pecuniary gain. And I think much the same thing can be said about the way young MPs spoke inside Parliament. I think those interventions were well informed. So overall, I would think that the youth of India have finally arrived on the political scene.
When a large number of students came down here, they started making allegations that ABVP is forcibly closing the educational institutions and bringing them. What about the ITBT? What about the chickpit traders? What about so many others? I mean, you got to see the thing in it, not with a tinted glass and all, just look at it in a plain glass.
Can corruption in this country end? What is the way forward? How long will it take? The year has given us a realization, a lot of answers, many more questions, a million thoughts, and great expectations.
बहस नहीं एहसास चाहिए, बहस नहीं एहसास चाहिए, एक लंबी सी सांस चाहिए। बहस नहीं एहसास चाहिए, एक लंबी सी सांस चाहिए। बड़ी दूर है संसद मुझसे, बड़ी दूर है संसद मुझसे, अब तो थोड़ा पास चाहिए। बहस नहीं एहसास चाहिए। तर्क हटाओ, फर्क दिखाओ, तर्क हटाओ, फर्क दिखाओ, सच्ची सी कोई बात सुनाओ, दिल से निकले दिल तक पहुंचे, ऐसा भी कोई तीर चलाओ। नहीं मुझे कुछ खास चाहिए, एक लंबी सी सांस चाहिए। बहस नहीं एहसास चाहिए, एक लंबी सी सांस चाहिए। बड़ी दूर है संसद मुझसे, अब तो थोड़ा पास चाहिए।